Testing, testing. Okay, we're on the record for the administrative meeting of July 9th, 2025.
Minutes.
The first order of business is to approve the minutes of
That would be
3 weeks ago,
June 25th.
June 25th.
No, June 18th.
June 18th, 2025. Commissioner McLean?
Abstain.
Commissioner Linton?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Good morning, Madam Chair. At the outset, we will be deferring items 5 and 10 to future administrative meetings. Also, there will be a question on item 6, just noting that on the consent agenda. But first, item number 1 is a notice of merger from USource LLC and Premier Power Solutions LLC. Item number 2 is a joint application for approval of transfer of control from Crown Castle Operating Company, Crown Castle Fiber LLC, and Small Cells Holdco Inc. Item number 3 is a name change notice from Networks Communications International Corp. DBA NCIN Inmate Communications. Item number 4 is an application for a license to supply electricity from the Power Company USA LLC. Item number 6 is a request for an extension from Downsville Solar 2 LLC. And item number 7 is a request for an extension from Cherrywood Solar LLC.
Okay, so with regard to items number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7, I'm going to move for the following. For item number 1, note the filing. Number 2, approve the transfer of control of Crown Castle Fiber LLC to Small Cells Hold Company, Inc. Item number 3, note the company's name change and direct the company to file revisions reflecting the name change to its access tariff within 30 days. Item number 4, grant the company a license to operate as an electricity supplier in Maryland, limited to broker services for the customer classes and service territories applied for and recommended by staff. Direct the company to provide training materials specific to its Maryland operations to the Commission's staff and Office of People's Counsel 30 days prior to utilization of the materials in Maryland, and direct the company to notify the Commission within 30 days of any changes to the information in the application. And item number 7, grant the company's request for an 8-month extension of the deadline and direct the company to begin operations at the project by December 31st, 2026. Commissioner McLean?
Aye.
Commissioner Linton?
Aye.
And I vote aye. And now we're going to take up item number 6 on the consent agenda. And Commissioner Linton, I believe you have some questions.
I did have a question, yes. Is there a representative of either the company or staff here?
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. David Bugelmans on behalf of the company. I will say from the outset, because this was on the consent agenda, frankly, my colleague Maxwell Cook handled this. I may not be able to answer your questions. To the extent I'm unable to, we could come back at a following administrative meeting to answer your questions. I apologize for
No, that's fine. I appreciate that. My initial thought was that we would simply request that you come back at a future one. I did have some questions about the current status of the project, and has there been any review of the ability of the project to meet any operational deadline in light of the fact that there's going to be, there already has been rather, some changes in the federal government support of community solar initiatives. Certainly all of the solar industry is aware of that. So I'm curious as to what impacts that's going to have on Downsville Solar, and if it's still going to be viable by the end of that waiver period.
I am not prepared to answer
Yeah,
that question. We could certainly come back. I apologize for
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate that.
Okay, so we're going to defer consideration of this matter to a future administrative meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8 on the administrative agenda consists of revised tariff pages from Armstrong Telephone Company.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lily Tiska on behalf of staff. On May 29th, 2025, Armstrong Telephone Company submitted a compliance filing seeking commission acceptance of revised tariff pages, updating its intrastate, non-toll-free originating, and intrastate terminating switched access service rates. Armstrong is revising these tariff pages to match the Federal Communications Commission approved National Exchange Carrier Association, or NECA, tariff rates that became effective July 1st, 2025. Armstrong is a member of NECA, meaning they participate in revenue pooling and match NECA's interstate tariff rates, which are approved by the FCC. The FCC requires NECA to submit revisions to the average schedule formulas for interstate settlement disbursements associated with the provision of interstate access services on an annual basis. All carriers in NECA tariff pools use the average schedule formulas, and thus the rates for all members are the same. The average formula provides a generalized solution for smaller rural telecoms and eliminates the need to perform individual calculations for each carrier. On May 16, 2025, the FCC approved the 2025 formulas submitted by NECA. On June 16, 2025, NECA filed revised tariff FCC number 5 to update NECA's interstate switched access rates in accordance with the new FCC-approved formulas. Armstrong's tariff revisions align its intrastate switched access rates with the updated switched access rates contained in the June 16, 2025 NECA tariff FCC number 5 revisions. The switched access rates affected in the tariff revisions include local switching, the Directory Assistance Information surcharge, tandem switch termination, and tandem switch transport. The rates all experienced a decrease of roughly 18.36 to 18.66% as compared to 2024's revisions. Staff recommends the Commission accept the revised tariff pages for filing with an effective date of July 1st, 2025. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? So do we have Armstrong Telephone Company here? Okay. With regard to item number 8, I move that we accept the tariff revisions for filing with an effective date of July 1st, 2025. Commissioner McLean? Aye. Commissioner Linton?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
And item number 9 is a request for a CPCN waiver from Delmarva Power and Light Company.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Latangia Bunch on behalf of staff. On March 17, 2025, Delmarva Power and Light Company filed a request with the Commission under Section 7207B4I of the Public Utilities Article for a waiver of the requirement that Delmarva obtain a CPCN for the placement of 4 new steel pole structures to intercept and connect an existing 230 kV overhead transmission line to a new substation located in Caroline County. Cherrywood Solar One LLC, the interconnection customer for this project, requested a transmission level interconnection. To accomplish this interconnection, Delmarva explains that it must build a new substation, the Greensboro substation, adjacent to the 230 kV Keeney Steel circuit. To accommodate the new Greensboro substation, Delmarva must add 4 steel pole structures, which will connect with 2 existing overhead transmission structures in its existing right-of-way. These 4 additional structures must be installed to allow the extension of the line to the new Greensboro substation. All 4 of the proposed new steel pole structures are shorter than the tallest existing 135-foot structure. 2 of the new steel pole structures will be 130 feet tall, while the remaining 2 will be 111 feet tall. The new conductor is the same as the existing conductor, and the overhead transmission line is currently energized at 230 kV and will remain energized at the same voltage after completion of the project. Delmarva anticipates no customer interruptions as a result of this project, and the project will be fully funded by the developer with 0% of the cost funded by Delmarva's Maryland ratepayers. Since the construction proposed does not require Delmarva to obtain new real property or additional rights of way through eminent domain, and does not require larger or higher structures to accommodate increased voltage or larger conductors. It meets the requirements of the exception set forth in PUA Section 7, 207B4I. Staff recommends that the Commission grant Delmarva's request for a waiver of the CPCN requirement under PUA Section 7, 207B4I to install 4 new steel pole structures to intercept and connect an existing 230 kV overhead transmission line to the new Greensboro substation. Thank you. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Madam
please.
Chair. Good morning. I just had one question about Cherrywood Solar 1. Could you tell me what the status of that generating facility is? Is it already built, ready to go?
Well, my understanding is that they're in the process of building it, but I think the company would be better to answer that question.
Are you the company, or would I ask Cherrywood Solar?
Well,
A company.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a company. Yes,
You could
sir.
be both.
Good morning, Commissioners. Matthew
thank you.
Seegers. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. No, thank you. We'll ask the company.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Seegers.
Good morning, Commissioners. Matthew Seegers appearing for Delmarva Power. I have nothing to add to staff's presentation. I appreciate their analysis. And in response to your question, Commissioner Linton, I'm told that the generator is not built at this time.
Okay.
And
Okay.
when?
Okay, any additional questions for the company? Okay, I move that we grant the company's request for a waiver of the CPCN requirement under PUA 7-207B4i to install 4 new steel pole structures to intercept and connect an existing 230 kV overhead transmission line to the Greensboro substation as described in the company's filing. Commissioner McLean. Aye. Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
And I vote aye.
And item number 11 is an application for approval of a generation station from AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals LP.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hello, my name is Denise Alston, and I am. Oh. Okay. Sorry, I don't know the process.
Yeah, no problem.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Charles Herbert on the behalf of staff. By letter dated May 20th, 2025, AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals LP filed a request for approval for a constructed generating station comprised of 2 ultra-low sulfur diesel-powered 2.5 megawatt generators pursuant to PUA Section 7-207.1 of the Public Utilities Article. AstraZeneca's application shows that the generating system meets the requirements for exemption from the requirement to obtain a CPCN under PUA Section 7-207.1. The facility is less than 25 megawatts and at least 10% of the capacity is consumed on site. Because the generators will be used in emergencies only, the generators are not connected to Potomac Electric Power Company, PEPCO's distribution grid. AstraZeneca provided in its application a letter from PEPCO exempting the company's generation facility from the requirement to enter into an interconnection agreement. The company attached to its application copies of the notice of its intent to construct the 2.5 megawatt generators it sent to each county or municipal corporation and each member of the General Assembly representing any part of the county in which the generating station will be located or within 1 mile of that location. The company explains that 100% of the electricity generated will be consumed on site. The company also explains that these generators cannot be used for demand response purposes, since demand response is incompatible with the company's electric system. Furthermore, the generators will only be used for emergency purposes, such as to keep the refrigeration equipment operational in case of an electrical emergency. These generators will be owned by the company and will be installed on land leased by the company. Staff reviewed the application and concluded that AstraZeneca has met the requirements set forth in PUA Section 7-207.1 for approval to construct a ultra-low sulfur diesel-powered generating station with a capacity that does not exceed 25 megawatts. The company is reminded that it must obtain all required local permits and authorizations and comply with all applicable zoning ordinances, land use requirements, and environmental regulations. Accordingly, staff recommends that the Commission approve the application. Thank you, and staff is available for any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay. And I'm assuming you're representing AstraZeneca?
I am. I'm Denise Alston. I am the Director of Environmental Health and Safety.
Okay, and do you have anything to add to the staff's presentation?
I do not.
Okay. So I would move to approve. Yes.
I just have one question for her.
Oh, please.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I appreciate that I was going to say your client, but your company contacted and reached out to elected officials and other parties that could potentially be in the area where the generators would be built. Did you receive any response from them?
I did not.
Okay. Any response from any consumers in the area or anyone else?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so I would move that we approve the application. Commissioner McLean? Aye. Commissioner Linton?
Aye.
And I would vote aye.
Item number 12 is an extension request from the Potomac Edison Company.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Oladipo Fede on behalf of staff. On June 3rd, 2025, Potomac Edison filed a request for the Commission to authorize the extension of its Phase 1 EV programs until the earlier of December 31st, 2025, or the date on which the Commission orders that Phase 2 begin. Potomac Edison's proposal would extend the EV charger time of use and public charging station programs until either the end of the year or the issuance of the Commission's order on Phase 2 EV program offerings. The remaining Phase 1 budget is sufficient to cover the $411,500 cost of administering the company's remaining EV programs. Staff acknowledges the Commission's concerns about public chargers competing with private charging operators and its decision to cease the development of new utility-owned charging stations in Phase 2, as expressed in the EV Phase 1 evaluation order from August 2024, number 91297. However, staff reiterates the Commission's decision to allow the completion of Phase 1 charging projects already underway at the time of the order. To ensure that Potomac Edison customers can continue to benefit from the public charging stations and time of use rates for EV charging, and to support the state's goal of increasing EV adoption, staff recommends the Commission grant the requested extension, authorizing Potomac Edison to continue its Phase 1 EV programs. With that, I'm available for questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay, I have a question. So with the extension, do we have an end date, or is this just going to continue on?
The extension would last until the earlier of the end of the year or the beginning of Phase 2.
Okay. And is there, I mean, I suppose I can ask the company this, but do we have a date where we're expecting Phase 2 to begin?
I would defer to the company on that.
Okay, okay.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Jessica Reba on behalf of the Potomac Edison Company. Thanks to staff, we do not have anything to add. We're hoping this is an easy one. I think the answer to your question, Chair, is that would be dependent upon an order from the Commission approving Phase 2. So
Okay.
we would not consider ourselves authorized to begin Phase 2 until that order.
Okay, but until that order is issued, this is just going to continue on until the sort of the next iteration of the program moves forward.
Exactly.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions for the company? Okay, so I move that we grant the company's request for an extension. Commissioner McLean?
Aye.
Commissioner Linton?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
And items 13, 14, 15, and 16 consist of updated community solar and net metering tariffs from Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, the Potomac Edison Company, Potomac Electric Power Company, and Delmarva Power and Light Company.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Eric Delgado on behalf of staff. On May 29th, 2025, and May 30th, 2025, the Potomac Edison Company, the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, the Potomac Electric Power Company, and the Delmarva Power and Light Company filed proposed tariff revisions to their community solar tariff pages to comply with updates to the Code of Maryland Regulations, COMAR, Title 20, Subtitle 62 regarding community solar energy generation systems. The proposed tariff revisions by the utilities establish the community solar pilot program as permanent and update the program parameters to be consistent with the updated COMAR regulations adopted by the Commission in Rulemaking 56. Additionally, PE has filed proposed tariff revisions regarding annual net access generation cash outs for net energy metering and community solar, as well as compliance language with the provisions of House Bill 1036, the Renewable Energy Certainty Act, RECA. The provisions require electric companies to track unsubscribed energy at the host level for each CSEGs and allow the allocation of these credits to subscribers for the following 12 months. Staff notes that BGE, DPL, and PEPCO have not filed proposed tariffs to implement the provisions of RECA. However, the Exelon utilities have indicated to staff that they will comply with the new legislative requirements as of July 1st, 2025, but will have to manually track and allocate unsubscribed energy until they can implement an automated approach. Staff has also reviewed comments filed on July 7th, 2025 by the Coalition for Community Solar Access, CCSA, and by the Solar Landscape Company. The CCSA and the Solar Landscape support the tariff revisions to implement the permanent program and additionally recommend that the Exelon utilities file updated tariffs on credit banking similar to the tariffs updates by the Potomac Edison Company. Staff agrees and recommends that the Exelon utilities be directed to file updated tariffs to fully comply with the RECA requirements. Regarding the proposed tariff revisions considered today, staff recommends that the Commission accept the proposed tariff revisions by PE and BGE, as well as the revised tariffs filed by PEPCO and DPL on June 9th, 2025, with a collective effective date of July 1st, 2025. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Okay, so I have a question. So you're asking us to accept the tariff revisions that were filed, but are you also asking us to direct that any additional tariff revisions be filed once the rest of the program is in place?
We're recommending that the Exelon utilities file updated tariffs to comply with the RECA requirements that took effect on July 1st.
Okay, so you're asking us for two different, you're asking us both to accept the tariff revisions, but also to update.
To direct the Exelon utilities to update their tariffs
Okay,
to comply with RECA requirements.
okay. Because that's more than you were asking. But let's hear from the company. So, Mr. Michel, are you okay with the additional request that you update? I mean, I'm assuming you're going to be doing this anyway.
Yes. Good morning, first of all, Commissioners. Joe Michel on behalf of BGE. So I think a part of the confusion it stems from the fact that BGE's filing is to comply with House Bill 908. What I believe staff just added this morning in terms of their requests is something that deals with a completely different bill, HB 1036. BGE's perspective is that, first of all, that is something that is not applicable to the company's actual filing, which deals with tariff revisions to comply with HB 908, which actually requires the company to file tariff revisions. HB 1036 does not require tariff revisions. The company certainly will comply with the requirements of HB 1036. The reasoning why we did not file tariff revisions for HB 1036 is because the bill had a very aggressive implementation date. It was just passed in the last legislative session and had a compliance date of July 1st. The company and its SMEs did a great job of figuring out a manual workaround to comply with the requirements of the bill, but that is temporary. And so from the company's perspective, we didn't think it made sense and really went against administrative just efficiency to come before the commission with tariff revisions that the company recognizes will be temporary. When we institute the automated process for compliance, if the commission wishes, the company will have no issue filing tariff revisions.
Okay, well, it seems to me that we should just be dealing with what's before us now. And
Agreed.
so, in terms of the secondary recommendation, why don't we just table that for now, and we'll come back to it when the time is appropriate. Okay, do you have anything else to add to what staff has presented?
No, nothing to add with respect to our actual filing.
Any questions?
Yes.
Sir, what's your timeline for having an automated fix for this? If you know, sir.
Yeah, my SME can keep me honest here, but I think it's sometime in 2026.
Okay. All right. Thank
Because it requires an IT update, and we all know IT updates take a long time.
you. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you.
Well, that's what the IT people tell us.
I had a question along the same lines of just in addition to Commissioner McLean's question, is there an additional cost you're anticipating?
I'm certain that the IT project comes with a cost, for sure.
Well, yeah, we expect that, but just was curious as to how many zeros you thought would be at the end of it.
Commissioner, I have no intel on the cost of that, and frankly, I'm not sure that our IT department knows that right now, because they're going through the process of first figuring out what would be required for implementation, and only after that process is completed would they be able to sort of estimate the costs.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so Mr. Bugelmans, do you have a comment as well?
I do have a comment. Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. David Bugelmans on behalf of the Coalition for Community Solar Access. Stated in our written comments, we do support staff's recommendation to accept all the tariffs for filing today. We think it's an important step to sort of solidify and start the permanent program. So we urge you to move forward with the tariffs. We did point out two important issues that are covered in the tariffs that we're working through various work groups on. The first is the issue of credit banking. Again, we support adoption or accepting the tariffs for filing today, but the reality is only Potomac Edison has included tariff language that actually implements SB 931 by the July 1st effective date of the legislation. The Exelon utilities have proposed an interim solution, but what they've proposed is to allow projects to allocate credits every quarter as opposed to every billing period like Potomac Edison has done. So we think this is an okay solution on a temporary basis, but we're going to be working with stakeholders and watching to make sure that when it comes time to implement this IT functionality, it works on a billing period basis, and that eventually it's incorporated into the tariffs. The second issue is something we've spoken to the Commission about several times. It has actually become even more pressing. It's the issue of the ability of projects to apply for interconnection prior to receiving subscriber organization approval from the Commission staff. The tariffs before you today have that language in there, and it's carried over from the pilot program, so it's not new. But under the tariffs, projects need to receive SO approval prior to applying for interconnection. As we've said before, that presents a timing issue that frankly just holds up projects from moving forward for about 10 weeks as those applications are processed. Because if you're not able to apply for interconnection, a developer has no understanding of where a project will actually interconnect, whether it's feasible, and what the costs are. So for all intents and purposes, it's 6 to 10 weeks is sort of the range we've seen for that process. With the passage of the federal tax legislation and it being signed into law on July 4th, projects now are really gearing up to hopefully begin construction by July 4th of next year. And when you're talking about a deadline like that, 10 weeks really makes a difference. So this has become, frankly, even more pressing for the industry. We have raised this with the work group in response to these tariff filings. We've been told that it will be discussed as part of the PC 44 work group process, and we're hopeful we'll be able to resolve it there. But because of the pressing nature of this issue and the fact that this language is in the tariffs, we felt compelled to at least raise this with you and go on record that we're continuing to work on this, and our concerns are only growing. But again, please move forward with the tariffs today. and
No, we can
appreciate
do that.
consideration.
But you're not recommending any language changes today. This is mostly just sort of alerting us that you're continuing to try to work through this issue.
Yes, we're going on record saying we're continuing to work on this issue. We're not acquiescing to how this works at this time, and we're hopeful that through further work group discussions we'll be able to sort this out. But it is contained in the tariffs, and it will continue to be a sort of a gating item for projects as we move forward until it's addressed.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, so I move that we accept the, well, before I do that, any comments from Potomac Edison? Mr. Michelle, are you representing the rest of the Exelon utilities?
Sure, I can
Well,
represent.
it's really up to you.
I think we're, Mr. Seegers and I are aligned in
Okay,
terms of my comments.
and Ms. Reba, are you okay with,
We are okay as long as our tariff as proposed is approved, even though we include the.
I'm just about ready to do that.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
so, so I'm going to move that we accept the tariff revisions for filing with an effective date of July 1st, 2025. Commissioner McLean?
Aye.
Commissioner Linton?
Aye.
I vote aye, and with that, we're adjourned.